Welcome to another episode of Pen and Dragon. We are your hosts, Timothy Robert and Isaac Anderson. We will be discussing the Wheel of Time today with two guests that will come out shortly. We at Pen and Dragon now have a sponsor. So, a brief word from our sponsor, real quick. Writer's Journey Services, a comprehensive editing company built to support your author needs. With two editors dedicated to helping you achieve your author goals, they provide line, copy, and developmental editing. That's two sets of eyes on your manuscript. They have reasonable pricing, package choices, multiple payment plan options, and a no AI guarantee. Want other services? There's add-ons like custom formatting, cover art, fantasy maps, and more. They have a 100% satisfaction rating from previous clients. Contact them today or for a free sample at writersjourney.com. That's writers-journey.com. Your path to success starts with Writer's Journey. Now booking for
Writer's Journey. Writersjourney.com.
Writers-journey.com.
Hyphen. Don't forget the hyphen. Very important to remember the hyphen. So we're here to... Yes, the background was distracting. I will make very special backgrounds for us in the future.
Okay,
but for now, we are in this nebulous blue space. Speaking of nebulous blue spaces, we have here to talk about the Wheel of Time very special guests, Michael Vadnais and Bill Adams.
Welcome, guys.
Hey,
thanks
guys.
for coming.
Gentlemen, thanks for having us.
I want to start off by saying that Isaac has not read the Wheel of Time. And
I have read the book called The Wheel of Time. Just not all of it.
Single book?
Yes. Wasn't the first one called Wheel of Time?
No, it's called The Eye of the World.
I have read The Eye of the World. And I have read the first 50 pages of The Great Hunt. So I'm pretty aware of the goings-ons of
you know
Matt
everything,
and his
then.
friends.
Yes, the entire 14-book series. You
All
know
them.
everything that's going to happen. from the
There's
first
that tall
book and
guy.
forward.
There's the tall guy who's really fun.
Land Mendragon.
He's like, he knows all about the castle. They can't escape the castle because the ladies are there to get him.
Mhm.
That's about where I'm at.
Nice.
Well, this will be part one of a two-part series, and I have been stoked for this because I've messaged Michael and Bill throughout my journey of the Wheel of Time, because as readers, we know that reading is very lonely, and when you're reading something as large and vast as the Wheel of Time, and it takes up so long, you just want to talk about it with someone.
You do.
Good time.
And I will say there is one spoiler we are not going to talk about in this show at all. You know what it is.
There's so many. Which
No,
one?
You know the one. The one. There's the one that you cannot ruin for anybody.
Okay, that's fair.
The guy eating worms as he's running.
Yeah,
Are we talking at like the very end? Is that what we're
I-
talking about?
The big
There's
twist.
a specific character that has a reveal we cannot talk about.
We're inching closer and closer to revealing it the more we talk about it.
I mean, book 14 does like throw you for a whirl and does not end anything like what I had anticipated. It is like the craziest ending for any series I've ever like been into.
Yeah. I would say overall though, like it is one of the best endings to a series, because ending a series is really hard. And I've read plenty of books where I'm just like, God damn, this series is really good. But you know, it's hard to tie up all those loose ends and they kind of flub it at the end. But Wheel of Time's ending I found to be very satisfying.
Especially for
Now,
how
was
many
it-
characters there are.
Yeah.
Was it satisfying because you're like, finally it's over? Or is it satisfying
No.
because, oh, I wish there was more, but this is a good place to end it?
Not that either. I would
No.
say like it ends and you're just like, wow, that was a journey. My life has changed. I'm no longer the same person. And I need to just ingest this for a while.
And then this book can actually, the series can actually be about another 10 books.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, I do like that Sanderson didn't take easy ways out. He really like didn't cut any corners or was like, well, this character just needs this ending. He really like, I give him so much credit because I can't imagine taking the huge cast and being able to put an ending on it. It's like It's one of those things that even going into it, like by book 6, I was like, man, how is this even going to be possible to end without just like killing everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Really interesting about that is, so Robert Jordan died. His wife, I think her name
Harriet.
is Miriam?
Harriet.
My bad. Harriet found Brandon Sanderson, and when he finally like got him on and it was official that he was going to finish up the series, initially Brandon got to all of Robert Jordan's notes, and it was supposed to be one more book. It was only supposed to be one. And then he was looking at all the notes, he was looking at all of the story that still had to happen, and he was like, there's no way this is going to fit in one book. We're going to have to do 3. And that was such a right call, such a good call.
Do you know what earned his attention? Like
Elantris?
what did Brandon do?
The first book Elantris came out, and then Mistborn became popular.
Yeah.
So
Harriet, it was also the letter.
Yeah. So when Robert Jordan died, Sanderson wrote a eulogy about the Wheel of Time, and it got to Harriet somehow. And she was just like, okay, this guy gets it. And like, she read his first 2 books that came out, Elantris being the first one, and then Mistborn, the first Mistborn book. And she was just like, I think this guy can do it. And Sanderson was just like, okay, I'm going to try, like if you ever like watch some of his videos when he's talking about this stuff, he's just like, 1, I can't believe she wanted me to do it. And then 2, how could I turn this down? But 3, let me just not F this up. Because this series is like the greatest thing that I like in Sanderson's mind. He's like, this is the greatest thing I've ever read. This is like what I aspired to do. Like, I just can't mess this up. So it's like, watching Sanderson talk about this stuff, like you can see the emotion behind him. Like, he doesn't get very emotional when he does a lot of his talks. Like he's a very business focused guy now. And when you watch him talk about the Wheel of Time, like you can see that emotion come out of Sanderson, and he knows that this is a once in a lifetime thing.
Oh yeah.
I think you can feel it in his writing too. I think you could really see to take over someone's writing. I couldn't even imagine as an author. And to do it as well as he did and passionately as he did, like, shows how not only his talent, but how much he really loved it. And also, we've read Robert Jordan. We've read the books, the 3 of us. Not Isaac. He's read some of it, but he knows enough. Can you imagine Robert
He's a good writer.
What they must have looked like? But he's so tedious and like so long-winded. His notes must have been insane. And I'm sure it was like stacks.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So from the history, from what they say and what Harriet and Sanderson said, like the final battle, everything in the epilogue, most of the final book, a lot of the stuff was already written in some form, whether it was like actually written or in like a very rough draft type of thing. So a lot of what Sanderson, like what Michael said, a lot of what Sanderson had to do was parse these notes and see how can I get from what left off in book 10 to what we get into book 11 into book 14, and how do we get there? And then, like you said, we had to do it in 3 books as opposed to 1, which would have been like 2,000 pages, and still wouldn't have been done. Like, you can't put all that into 2,000 pages.
Yeah. I mean, so much happens in the final 3 books. It's just like, I know there's a lot of like pacing issues throughout a 14-book series, because 1, it's a 14-book series.
Yeah.
It's a big unwieldy beast. But the last 3 books, like, just took the pacing and just sprinted towards the end. It's just nonstop. Something is happening, something is happening, something happening, something is happening. And it's like, you still get these nice quiet moments so that you can be like, okay, I'm going to reset here. And then, oh my God, something is happening.
I don't know about for you guys, but that was my intro to Sanderson. I've never read anything prior, so I didn't know what to expect. And his pacing is like phenomenal. It is so good in everything. We hear this as writers, like everything needs to be poignant and pertinent and like have a reason. And it felt like Sanderson, sometimes it felt like Robert Jordan didn't. Sometimes it felt like he was, describing, doing this like long, almost like a soap opera, right? Where some of the episodes are just kind of like, well, okay, is that really like important? Whereas Sanderson, it felt like every single beat was like had to be there, like essential.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
like
and I
finishing up a
think it's
series. Oh, go
interesting
ahead.
you say that because, I'm sure that I think we talked about it, Timothy, was like there was the only character he did not know how to write, and Sanderson admits this, is Matt. Like he did not know how to write Matt as a character. And he admits it in the Gathering Storm and the first two books really, Matt just feels off.
Way off.
But everything else feels like Jordan, like it really does. And he does do a good culling some of that like telenovela feel that Jordan started doing in the quote unquote slog of the middle books, where it takes Elaine 3.5 books to get the throne of Andor back, which it could have took half a book.
Yeah.
Or Fail being captured by the Shido for 4 freaking books. It's like, we could have done without this. Like, where's Sofia Vergara in the background going, oh, yeah. That's what it felt like at some points. And Sanderson cuts that at the knee, like you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does. And he's fluid. Where do you guys stand on the slog? I'm curious because, going in, so many people are like, I quit at the slog. Oh, you got to get through the slog. And I actually really only found the slog to be book 10. I really didn't find 8 and 9 to be that bad. I actually found about half of them interesting because speaking of Elaine, she's my least favorite storyline in the whole book, the whole series.
Yeah.
I think she is the
everything
least
with Andor. I'm sorry. Morgazy. Cut Morgazy.
So like book 10
I'm
really
gonna have
a problem with.
All right. I got a few things for that. One, how dare you all besmirch Elaine? But I'm going to actually answer your question about the slog. It's definitely like there are 3 books that could have been 1, and that's really what the big deal is. It's just so many of those storylines had so many additional steps that weren't required. And because there were so many storylines, because it's a 14-book series, each one of them felt like, okay, I get it. This is what's happening. I get it. Let's go. I'm ready for the next thing. But instead, we just have another very incremental step. Like Fail should have been rescued in 1 book. Everything with like Andor and the Crown, maybe a book and a half. Like with the White Tower and their battle back and forth, maybe a book and a half. It didn't really require 3 books to start and end these plot lines. That's my
3 huge books. 3 huge.
And I'll add, like, I think this is also one of my critiques about, Sword of Ice and Fire too, with book 4 and part of 5, is Jordan did the Battle of Pelennor Fields twice, or whatever the hill is. God, why am I mixing with Lord of the Rings? Where the Shido attack happens, he does it from the other side in book 6 or book 7. I'm sorry. So you see it twice.
Are you talking about Dumai's Wells?
Yes, Dumai's Wells. That's it. That's it. Not Pelennor Field. That's Lord of the Rings. I don't know why I'm mixing that. But yeah, that's what Gurm does in book 4 and part of book 5 is it's in parallel. So you see some things from both sides, and that's what happens when you add a billion characters, like you said. And if you could have cut some of that down and just, I think the slog is overrated as a term. It's not a slog. It doesn't move as fast as, or not fast, because none of these books move fast. It doesn't move steady, like Michael said, as the first 6 books do, and most of book 7, very steady, and then it just kind of slows to a halt. And
I mean, I will say you're going up, 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 right? And then all of a sudden you go and you kind of like go down and flatline for a bit, and then you go way up. So in that way, I get it. But like, I still think 8 and 9 were interesting enough. I really think 10 was useless. I actually think it was a useless book because because only the last 140 pages really matter you could really skip the first half of that book.
Yeah.
Like you could skip all of the Elaine, sorry, Michael, but you can skip all the Elaine whining and all of her like, oh, this and woe is me stuff, and kind of like skip the first half and go to the second half realistically, and you wouldn't actually miss anything.
Maybe. Like I think all of the storylines in the slog are definitely required, I just don't think we needed so many steps to repeatedly tell us the same things over and over again.
Yep.
And that's really like the big thing is like you were saying, the rest of the series goes at a very steady pace. I'm never impatient except for during those 3 books. Those are the only books where I'm just like, all right, what's next? And
But
like,
the ending of book 8 was pretty freaking good. I liked the ending a lot. That was like, because I remember being in book 8 and I was anticipating the slog and I was like, huh. And I was like, well, this is fine. And then like the last 80 pages, like, damn, we did it again. Because Robert Jordan has that way of like slow, and then all of a sudden, mind blown. Like every time, no matter how you're feeling, his final like 100 pages are always crazy good.
Because he builds it up really well. He builds the plot up and to get there, but he sometimes in those books it just felt like we could have moved a little bit faster to get like skipped point B and C and just went from A to D and said they were traveling because they travel a lot in these books.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like the first 3 books are basically the same book, the same plot. They separate out, they come back together at the end. Very similar plot structure, but it's a lot of travel. And, you know, in today's day and age, and I think we were talking about this, Timothy, is like, I don't know if I can read Wheel of Time now in a modern lens, like, and feel the same way I feel about it as I did when I was a teenager. And I was deep into those big old series that were like long series and the books were 1,000-page each. Like, I don't know if I could do that now. Just because the way that the modern books are, or modern fantasy books are now, there's a lot more pace, a lot more going on, and not so much the slower side of things.
That's why I appreciated it more, though. I appreciated it more because it really got in these slow, drawn out things and made it feel like real life, where everything's not just moment. And yes, sometimes it is annoying and tedious. Like, I don't need 2 pages of knowing what trees are in the area because I still don't know what half the trees are. But like the drawn out lines to an extent really made me enjoy it more because I have read a lot of the modern fantasy and it's all fast paced and it's like here, there, where he really like, it feels like you're watching a really long TV show where like you're really getting into the characters, you're really building. And yeah, some of it's a very, very slow build. But it also makes those wow moments, I feel like, so much more intense because everybody knows I'm a huge Game of Thrones guy and there's a lot of wow moments all the time, constantly through the books. Whereas Wheel of Time, it's like, interesting. Okay. And then huge wow. And I feel like every time I finished the book, I was so mind blown at what he had built up to and what I had gone through to get there that it's almost like not like Stockholm syndrome, but it's almost like, man, I went through all of this, and it was so worth it. Like, I'm glad I not suffered, but I'm glad I took the time to get there.
Yeah. His high moments are really good throughout the whole series. Like what we were talking about with Dumai's Wells earlier. That is one of my, like, there's a lot of really good combat scenes, but that is like one of the best where it's just Ashuman, kill. I get goosebumps just thinking about it. It's so good.
And the fallout from it's incredible too. Honestly, the way
world
he went
is never the same.
So good. I do want to ask you guys as an author perspective and as readers, and Isaac, you can answer this too. Robert Jordan, obviously we know, is notorious for just like eliminating characters that are pertinent for entire books, or you don't hear from them for quite some time.
Yeah.
How do you find that strange, or did it impact you in a certain way, or what do you think about eliminating a character for an entire 850-page book?
It's hard as a reader. It's hard because you're forgetting the character arcs and where they might be at this time. But I think from an author perspective, I think it's a smart decision when you're thinking about what the plot is. Like when you're creating all these different plots, not everybody has to be touched upon. And I think this is kind of what goes into that, like the first couple of books, like the first 6 books, he removed people from the game board and it was perfectly fine. But then in like the slog, we got all the characters again. And it was kind of like, that's where it kind of slowed down, is because you're looking at all these characters and going and taking, like I said, with Elaine, no offense, Michael, I like Elaine as a character and I like Brigitte, but I just, that Andor plot was just like, oh my God, stop. Like you just like lost me there. But
Mhm.
again, we didn't have to skip a lot of chapters to go see other characters when this happens over the course of like a month's time. Or like the Morghese plot took place over the course of like a week, basically. And we spend so much more chapters in between going to all these other characters where it could have been beneficial if he moved some of these players out of the book and put them into in a different book, or vice versa, like that. So from an author perspective, I like that idea if that's
Mhm.
where the plot goes.
Yeah, I would say I am of mixed feelings on it. As a reader, it doesn't bother me at all, actually. I think it's very helpful sometimes. Like, ironically, The Dragon Reborn, which is book 3, has Rand in 10% of it. Like, it's not a
even that
lot.
much.
Yeah, he's not really in that book, but it's called The Dragon Reborn. It's a big book. It's a big deal for him. And when he is on the page, it matters a lot. And that doesn't really bother me as like a reader. It's just like, yeah, whatever. As like an author, if I don't think I could do that personally, because I don't know if I could take someone out of almost an entire book, why are they a protagonist of my series? That's kind of my question, is like, why are they a main POV character? If they're a side character, yeah, that totally makes sense. But if I'm giving them a point of view, you better be doing something important. There's a reason I gave that to you. I'm not just going to throw you in the closet afterwards. So personally, I think I would struggle with that. But as a reader, it doesn't bother me at all.
Interesting.
But are you looking at that from a modern lens, though?
Most definitely.
Yeah.
I am an author in the modern era. If I was writing in like the 90s or the 80s, that would be very different.
Yeah.
Like that kind of hits on to the Wheel of Time in general. A lot of people look at that as like, this is the transitionary age of classic to modern fantasy, because the first 3 books are very classic. It's very like Lord of the Rings, like you were saying, where they break apart and come back together and they travel all over the place. Very Shannara. But as the books progress, we do get more and more modern sensibilities until we eventually end in the last 3 books with Brandon Sanderson, who arguably is like the face of like a lot of modern fantasy.
Yeah.
True. Before we get into Isaac's opinion, I'll read JB's question to listeners. Is it like A Song of Ice and Fire with the massive list of character POVs? Yes and no, because George R. R. Martin's POVs are very specific, and he breaks them up by chapter, whereas Robert Jordan and Sanderson jump around a lot. I don't know if you guys agree with that, but there's like, sometimes it's literally 20 sentences from some random Aes Sedai, and then all of a sudden you're back into like Matt Cawthon, or all of a sudden you're in Varen's head for a second, and then you're on like 20 pages of Egwene's. So in like some ways, I mean, it's more hopping around than George's is.
Yeah,
Definitely.
I wouldn't call it head hopping though.
No, it's not head hopping
It's
at
very
all.
intentional.
Yeah, I mean, it's very
there's scene breaks between the POV changes.
right.
And especially like the prologue chapters of every Wheel of Time book are like 100 to 150 pages long, and there's a dozen POVs in some of those prologue chapters. So that's where a lot of it is. But it is not head hopping at all. It's third person close.
It all
You're
functions
in.
well. From a reader perspective, it all functions. You know what's going on, but it is a lot more heads to be in than
Yes.
George's. George is very specific, chapter by chapter. Whereas, and his chapters are also not as long as some of Robert Jordan's. Sometimes I don't even know what chapter I'm in Wheel of Time, because some of them are so freaking long.
Yeah, that's the classic versus the modern sensibility, though.
Yep.
That's true. So, Isaac, what do you, because you haven't finished series, what do you think about entire books? You know, like Michael said, and actually this is one of my problems with the Wheel of Time, is I actually wanted more Rand, and I didn't get enough of him. And it's very strange for me.
Yeah,
because
we'll talk
also
on
I'm one of the only people that really loves Rand that I've talked to. Like, I actually really love the character. I think he's one of the best characters I've ever read. But there are books where he's almost non-existent. There's books where Matt and Perrin are non-existent, and they're literally like the 3 most
3 amigos.
Yeah, they're like they're all very
Viren.
Wheel of Time.
Yeah, I think if you're writing a story like a big epic, because Wheel of Time is it's not a book, it's an epic. And it's like a once in a generation kind of thing. Like we'll have a Wheel of Time like every 70 years. And the last one was Lord of the Rings. So I mean, Brandon Sanderson is doing his thing, but I don't think he'll ever, maybe someday he will make something as monumental as Wheel of Time. But I think, the world has like an appetite and we haven't quite needed another one yet. So when it comes to making something that big and taking a loved character and sidelining him for a little bit, I think as long as the reader's entertained, you're okay. Like I hear a lot of people talk about this slog that happens near the end of the series, and the slog has been one of the main reasons why I've not really considered reading Wheel of Time like very seriously. Like every year or so, I'll read a little bit more into book 2. I'll get a little bit farther. Doesn't quite hook me, and I don't stay long enough, and then I bounce off, do something else. So to have something like that, to have a slog in your series and still have it be one of the best revered series ever says a lot. And when I think of, characters coming and going, I think the fact that you guys wanted more Rand is a very good sign that Rand was handled well. Because if you had too much Rand, like it sounds like you guys have too much. What's the girl's name? Elaine?
Elaine.
It sounds like maybe there's too much. Maybe there's too much Elaine. Maybe he could have kept her back a little bit, and the feeling may have changed with some of you. But leaving the audience wanting a little bit more is a good thing. You need to satisfy them and also make them feel like, I want a little bit more of that. And it sounds like Wheel of Time does that pretty well.
I do think he's pretty great at that. He's good at leaving you wanting, which is pretty impressive. I have specific questions for you guys, but going off of that, first I want to ask who is your favorite of the boys? Of the trio, who is your favorite?
Perrin. I'm a Perrin fan. I
really hard.
It is hard, but Perrin solidified as my favorite towards the end. As much as I disliked I'll say it right now, I don't like Fael. I've never liked Fael, but she was a great foil for Perrin because Perrin is an introspective character, and she is not an introspective character. And as much as I disliked how long the Shido plotline panned out, what solidified Perrin as my favorite was when he forges his hammer and realizes the dichotomy of the axe versus the hammer and how internalized in him is the warrior versus the builder, basically. That for me is when Perrin became my favorite character of the whole series. And I like Matt. I love a snarky son of a bitch that just like gets lucky and beats up the good guys with the quarterstaff. Like that scene is like the best Matt scene in the whole series.
Mm-hmm.
And I love Rand. I think Rand is one of the best characters ever written in fantasy, just based on his arc and what he goes through. But yeah, Perrin, I don't know. I loved him from book 1, even when he was not even like much of a character in book 1. But in book 3, which is The Great Hunt, it's called the Perrin book, by the fans, because he is the predominant point of view character in that book. And that's when he started becoming awesome for me. And like I said, when he goes back to, the Two Rivers and fights the Trollocs and all that stuff down there, that's just, for me, Perrin was it on the guy side of things.
Yeah, for those three are 3 to Viren. I will say it's definitely hard for me to pick. I will give the slight edge to Perrin. And the reason I will pick Perrin over Matt is he is consistently better. Like both of them are very interesting characters, but Perrin, his entire story arc, one is very solid. It's very consistently progressing throughout the whole thing, even through the slog. Fael and their relationship is problematic at first, but they figure it out. And Perrin is just consistently a good person no matter what happens. No matter what happens, he's trying to be a good person. He's very rarely like petty or vindictive or anything. He's just a man in incredible circumstances trying to do his best. And that, I'm just a sucker for that. Matt kind of loses it for me. I do love his story arc. I love that he is this rapscallion that like becomes more and more responsible, but still holds on to his rapscallionness. But the whole thing with Tuathawan, or Tuon, that's what it is. With Tuon that's a hard sell for me. Just that whole relationship.
Yeah,
And I get it. I get why it's in the story, but I'm just like, this doesn't quite work at the end for me, even though Matt has so many cool things at the end. And as far as Rand is the least developed of the three, in my opinion, but he also has the most realistic portrayal of what would it be like if the entire world said you were the chosen one and everybody wanted something from you and everyone was going to manipulate you and everyone was trying to take from you. That I love, because you don't really see a chosen one really go through an entire series of that. They might have an arc of it and it just shows to be like, oh, he gets over it eventually. But like that is almost Rand's entire series, is him struggling because he wants to just be a farm boy. That's all he's ever wanted. He never wanted to leave the two rivers. He never wanted to do any of this. And everyone is just pushing him and manipulating him to save the world.
And he takes it all on the head too. Takes it all right on the head. And
Ooh,
I love,
he suffers.
I do agree. I agree with you, Bill, because I do think that Rand, I actually think he's the best written character that I've ever read. Because like you were just saying, it's not only Rand versus the world, it's not Rand versus the Dark One. A lot of it's Rand versus himself.
Yep.
A lot of it is this crazy, and he goes dark for quite some time. Like, and you actually don't know what's going to happen. You're like, oh my gosh, is he just going to like destroy everything before he does something good?
Yep.
And him versus arguably one of the best side characters ever, which is Tam, which is Rand's dad for anybody that doesn't know. That moment where,
Great
and
dad.
this is gonna be a spoiler, that moment where him and his dad get into it, well, yeah, that moment where they get into it is like it was so intense for me. I remember just reading and I sat there and I was like, what? I was like, there's no way that just happened.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of moments like that with Rand. And yes, I do want more Rand, but I do think that Robert Jordan did it the best way possible. Every moment with Rand is so essential and so gripping that it doesn't really matter. And I think as far as the trio goes, it's hard to cast. For me, Perrin's my least favorite. I do actually, the moment that he created the hammer is the only moment I started liking him. But I also think he's essential as an anchor. I think he's a very good fine line character that balances out Rand and Matt, first of all, because they're a lot.
Mhm.
And I think he is very level-headed. The moment he goes to save the White Cloaks, he's very noble. He's very JB asked if he's like Samwise, and he is. He's a lot like Samwise. He really keeps everything together, and he really is like this very noble, good-hearted person throughout all this crazy stuff. And he, in the final book, when he's like, everything has to be sacrificed to help Rand. That's like true friendship. And Matt's probably my favorite of the three because he reminds me of myself, and it's very close between him and Rand. But Matt's a pretty crappy friend throughout most of the book, throughout most of the series.
In the early parts, yeah.
Especially the early parts. But even book 14, he's still kind of not a really great friend. Whereas Perrin is the friend that's like, I will do whatever I have to do to make sure you win this battle and that you survive this battle. And you'll have to read book 14 to see if Rand survives or not. I'm not going to do that spoiler. But like, Perrin is essential. And he's a great character as far as that goes. I just found him the least interesting. Matt is hilarious. He reminds me a lot of myself. And Rand just has one of the craziest arcs I could ever imagine.
I think I'm going to disagree with you on the position with Matt, though. Matt is an incredibly loyal friend. He's just going to bitch and moan about it the whole time. He doesn't want to do the hard thing to help you, but he will. And people give him a lot of shit for that.
That's true.
Yeah,
well,
they do. The whole beginning, the first few books, like until really Ruadan, in book 4 in the Shadow Rising, when he goes and gets kind of stabbed against the tree. Matt, up until that point, is kind of like everyone is against him because he's supposedly the bad friend,
Yeah.
the bad one out of the group. But he's very, he's like the kid across the tracks, like the one that is like, even though I'm gonna hate on the show for a second, what they did to Abel Cawthon and I can't think of his mom's name. But what they did to his parents in the show, I was like, oh my God, I hate you. Like, this is what made me start hating the show, is when you did that to Abel Cawthon. Because Abel Cawthon is a good man and a good horse trader. And, if you know who he is, and Michael's agreeing with me on this one. But, those first couple of books, Matt's the troublemaker and he gets that bad rap. So, like, he's like that friend, your parents don't want around because he's going to get you in trouble. You're going to go to the principal's office and stuff like that. But he's also that friend. Like, I don't know if you guys have read, The Outsiders. He's basically Matt Dillon's character.
Yeah.
The one that runs into the burning building to save the kids, even though he's the one that killed the guy and all this stuff. Like, he's that friend that's going to protect you through thick and thin, but he's also going to be the one that's going to get you in trouble. And that's Matt. And,
he's a bad friend. I should say that Perrin is the friend that you would idolize and really want at your side. And Matt is a good friend in his own way. He's just not always the friend that that's your ideal friend to have in certain
He's not going to make it easy.
Right. Yeah. So not that he's a bad friend. He's just not, hey, Matt, like, you want to come help me type of friend, where Perrin's like sacrificing it all, very linear. Matt's pissing, moaning, and, yelling at everybody and complaining. He'll do what he has to do, but
he'll break you out of prison, but he won't help you move your couch.
Right. And if he does, he's probably gonna like stand there and draw it out and swear at you.
100%.
I do want
to. What picked me up on Perrin, though, the reason why I like Perrin more, not to go even more on this, but his arc in general, like his plots in his subplots throughout his whole arc are a lot more interesting. There's a lot more to it than with Matt. Whereas Matt, in the first 3 books, he has the dagger. Like, that's what his plot is. And then when he finally gets the dagger, cleansed from him, he runs away, out west, and, he finds Tom Maryland, and, he does with that side of things. And then he finally goes, like, he reluctantly goes with Rand into the Ale Waste, and, then he gets his memories. He gets the general stuff, and
that's when his story starts.
Yeah, it really doesn't start until then.
That's true.
But like that whole purpose with Perrin, though, like you get the Wolf Brothers stuff from book 1. You get the Dreamland. I'm not even going to try to pronounce it. Teleranderoid, or whatever it is. You get that starting early, with Hopper and all that stuff. So Perrin he had more to do, I thought, than Matt did until the end. Because even in like the slog, when Matt is going to the Tuan stuff and he becomes the sex slave to the lady in the one town, there's not much going on with Matt.
No.
until the final battle, or the last battle.
That's true.
I agree. That's what makes Perrin better, is his story is like a full arc from the very beginning to the end, while Matt's is like pieces. And like some of those pieces are really good, but they're less connected.
That's fair. Well, let's get into another issue that people complain about with the Wheel of Time that I'm curious where you guys stand on it. Robert Jordan's writing of women does not always go over well. And the women get a lot of playtime in the series, and it does change. I think it gets better for some of the women as it goes, but a lot of the Aes Sedai are very standard. I do think the prequel, he kind of goes through that a little bit more, which actually helps, and gives you a different side of things. But early on, the women are not likable, I wouldn't say. I don't know where you guys stand on that, and some of them do end up likable, not Egwene in my opinion, but Nynaeve, or however you actually say it, is
Nynaeve.
Nynaeve, yeah. She becomes super likable. Her character arc is also great.
She's my favorite character in the Wheel of Time.
Really? Oh,
Nynaeve? Wow.
She's my favorite. I think, to answer your question, it's hard, especially looking at it from a modern lens. Um, when I first read Wheel of Time or started reading Wheel of Time, I didn't finish it the first time I started reading it. I was in my teens. So when you're an impressionable boy in your teens, you're kind of like, yeah, this is kind of cool. Like, this is interesting that these, Aiel run around, make the women run around naked. You're like, oh, that's kind of cool. When you're a teenage boy in the 90s. And then when you get into your 40s and, you're in your 30s, when I finally finished it, I'm like, and I started rereading The Wheel of Time to finally finish. I'm like, yeah, this doesn't age well. It's not that great when you think about that stuff. But I do, like, aside from that, the weird spanking thing, Nynaeve always tugging her braid. They always talk about the braid tugging, and that's always the thing. I do stand by, and I think when he actually writes his POV characters, female characters, he's very good at writing female characters that stand up in a modern lens.
Mm-hmm.
There are questions about certain aspects of the world building. I will not deny that. But, Nynaeve as a character, her arc, when she becomes the POV, she makes so much sense because she is, almost 10 years older than the rest of the group, the rest of the Edmondsfield Five. And she reads like that older sister that wants to take care of these hoodlums that just want to go do their thing because they don't want to pay attention, to her experience. But then when she gets into the White Tower and she realizes that she's just this nobody from a podunk town, she's got, when you're the high school quarterback in, little bit nowhere of Texas, and then you go to Texas A&M or, the big time, the pond jump is huge. And she realizes that. And I think, Jordan did a damn good job of doing that with the female characters. Again, there's some that just, like the whole Barrelane character. But she makes sense because there are characters in this world that will go for power, and utilize their charm, basically. So like it makes sense. I think it makes sense. But again, there are things that don't age well in today's day and age.
Yeah, and I'll definitely agree with that. I think there is a bit of a habit that a lot of us have when we look at stories, especially like fantasy stories and darker stories, where we take our very modern lens of morality and society and then apply it to a world that uses more of an Iron Age logic. And we look at that and go, that's bad. And yeah, if that was happening today in the real world, 100%. And when you see that happen in the real world, that is some problematic shit and you should probably do something about it. But I will say some of this is world building. There are amazing women characters in this. Nynaeve is definitely one of them. Even Egwene is really good during the whole thing with like the splitting tower. I really liked that storyline. I loved so much of that where she is displaying like what leadership means and how to bring divided people together. Everything that she did after the tower stuff, I'm just like, okay, you're an idiot. But that isn't because she's a woman or anything. She just makes bad decisions as a character. But there are problematic things. There is a lot of spanking for really weird reasons. And there are some like sexual, well, yeah. But there's also like weirdly like sexual undertone things where it's just like, this is heavily hinted to be happening. And we're like, what does that have to do with anything, Robert? I'm very confused. But that's the world that he built. And none of it is integral to the story or the plot. Like, I kind of put it akin to like watching anime. I like anime. I hate over-sexualization in anime. And that will make me turn off a lot of different shows, even if I love the show. I'll stop watching it because I'm just like, nope, that's too much. I'm not doing that. I don't think the Wheel of Time ever tips that scale. It's never in your face with like, ha 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 ha, look at this woman do this. It's never done in a way to make fun of them. It's just, this is the world that they live in. That is normal there. There are many structures of what men do and women do in this world. And there are many different cultures that have different ideas of what that is. And they mix and they challenge each other. And people have interesting conversations around that.
And I think he excels at that, actually. Early on, I did find a lot of the female characters to be kind of similar, this kind of like man mindset of what a woman acts like. But then you get throughout, and he actually starts bringing these different cultures, kind of like indigenous cultures and stuff, sort of, with the Aiel and everything. And it's very interesting, and it gets more interesting on how he does it and how the women interact with each other. And like I said, I can see why people early on are like, oh, the Aes Sedai are the same. Then you get later, they're not. You have people like Varen. You have people. I love Ken Swain. I don't know if that's how you say it, but she is my favorite Aes Sedai. In the prequel only, I read the prequel last, and that even confirmed it. And it does make a lot of the Aes Sedai more likable, actually, the prequel, the way he wrote it. Mm-hmm. Being in Moraine's head, being in the White Tower in that point of view, actually makes a lot of them more likable. I do think Cat Swain is just like this, I don't know, 400-year-old, whatever she is, hot, sexy, mean, but like strict teacher. And I love her.
I think you might be projecting here. I don't remember her ever being described as hot, sexy.
I can't help. I don't know. The way she handles Rand and stuff, I'm like, okay.
Timothy wants her as her pillow friend.
Yeah.
I mean,
I will say you bring up an interesting point. I think the part where Robert Jordan is the weakest is women to women relationships. Like, that's the part where I think it breaks down most often, where it's just like, okay, this is a little weird.
Well, and the show takes it too far, in my opinion. The show makes like these kind of friendly women relationships super. I mean, they make a lot of them like turn into lesbians, basically, like just like strict lesbians, and maybe they are in the book, but it never directly says that. It kind of for a couple of them, and for a couple of them, it's like, well, they're just good friends or whatever. Maybe there's that, but it's never like really talked about. And the show is like so in your face with it that it really takes away a piece of the Wheel of Time almost. It's so upfront and like direct and changes how they interact to a way that's so badly done. It's worse done than Jordan does it in some ways.
Mm-hmm.
I will say the Aiel, the way that he does the Aiel men and female hierarchies in their culture, I do think that he does a really good job of gender to gender or sex to sex, whichever one you want to call it, relationships, because the wise women are just like their bonds are really good. And I did like, I mean, I understand that it could potentially be a problematic for a lot of people in modern day. But the polyamory and, the whole concept of the reverse harem, basically, the men have no say and they can marry multiple women in that culture. I think he did a great job with, how the wives, the sister wives, basically, for the lack of a better term, interacted with each other. Like, I liked how they, were more of more family and friends than like they were with their husband. I thought that was, pretty interesting how he decided to do that.
I think the Aiel are actually some of the best written characters in the whole series. Yeah. I think the women especially are actually, I think they're way better done than the rest of the women in the series.
Yeah. So much of the Wheel of Time does explore like gender and sex and what is your role in society and in relationship as a man or a woman or within this like town. Like there's such like an undercurrent of that. And it's even within the magic system in the world building where you have Saidin and Saidar, the male and female half of the magic system, and they can't teach each other and how they interact with the magic. I love that. I love that Saidar is a community based. It is something that you have to like surrender to, and that you get control through that, and just how the experience with working with Saidar is so different than working with Saidin, where Saidin is just like, you have to fight it and you have to wrestle control of it. And yes, these are like very basic, almost stereotypical projections of like gender and sex and stuff like that. But it's still very interesting because it's a starting place for this conversation as you eventually have characters where you have men and women using the opposite half of the magic and how that affects them, and how there's so much undercurrent of discussion over like sex and gender that I find very interesting, because he never tells you this is right, this is wrong. He just goes, here's an example of one arrangement of this society, and here's a different arrangement, and this is where those two societies meet and how they deal with it. And that's what I find very interesting about what they do in Wheel of Time. And I don't think we've really seen very much of that in a lot of other fantasy series, unless you're going to go like read like Ursula K. Le Guin and stuff like that, where you can really get into the deep end with getting into like societal norms around sex and gender.
Yeah, I mean, I think in book 14 with, now I'm drawing a blank on their name and I just read it, the Red Aes Sedai and the Asha'man that end up bonding each other,
and
their relationship between the magic system is so intricate and actually one of the best storylines. And it's only in the one book, but it's such a cool, interesting storyline that I've never really seen done in such, it's very intimate and also a struggle. And I think it's cool, like you're talking about how he brings in these, like, hey, you're a man, you're a woman, you have these differences, but you also need each other to really be what you can be. And I think it's really interesting.
You can thank Sanderson for that, because that is the one character and whole plot arc that Sanderson created that was not in Robert Jordan's notes. The Andal and, was it Pravera?
Yeah, Pravera, yeah.
Is Andal the guy who, he wasn't very powerful, but he was very good with portals?
Yep.
I like him, but I think I'm going to agree with Daniel Green on this one. That should have been Logain, because
Logain should have been.
He should have been so much more prominent.
The one thing that I'll give the show credit for is what they did with Logain. I thought Logain in the show was a lot better done than in the book. He kind of got the short stick in the book, and I wonder, like, it makes me wonder if Logain and Mazrim Tame kind of had branched off at some point in Jordan's mind. Like, it was originally going to be like the one arc for Logain, and then he created Mazrim Tame and brought him in to be the Ashaman. I don't want to spoil a lot of the stuff, but creates the Ashaman and then kind of does some things. So I wonder if like Logain was supposed to be that, back in the day.
I will say, it actually goes into a question I was going to ask you guys, is what's the most disappointing in the best side character arc? And Logain to me is probably the most disappointing, because it's all this cool hype throughout the series and you're expecting a lot. And by book 14, you actually expect quite a lot. And there's like a moment that's kind of cool, but it is a little bit of a letdown compared to most of the characters. And like we said, you can't really give, it's hard, almost impossible to give 40 side characters a great arc in one book. But
yeah,
Logain's was a pretty large letdown.
There was just so much potential there, like, because they did hype him up so much, and they even with his visions of glory and stuff like that. And like, yes, he did eventually get that. But there was just like the last few books, he wasn't that impactful. He was a great foil for Rand in some clutch moments. And like, that's what made him all the more disappointing, though, because like when he was on the screen and he was interacting with Rand, he was a very interesting character. He did very interesting things. As soon as he was on the page, I'm like, oh, I'm paying attention. I want to know what's going to happen with him. But then we don't really get as much with him. He's just there to prop up Rand for the most part and to progress certain storylines within the Black Tower. And that's it. Like, he is a tool of the story when he could have been interesting enough to be his own main character.
Especially after when they, what's the term? after he gets severed from the one power, and Nynaeve and
They
Elaine
restore him.
restore him. Like after they do that, he kind of just like meh for like 6 books. It's just like could have been something cool. I will definitely agree with that one.
Well, especially because early on, you get the crown, right? Min keeps seeing the crown on his head, so you're expecting something like when you're given something like that for foreshadow, you're expecting something to meet, and I think he's really the only storyline that it doesn't get met. What you get early on is not met later on.
Yeah.
So that to me is why it's so disappointing.
His ending is nice because like he at the very end and stuff, and like the last battle is happening all over the place. He takes a bunch of Ashaman and saves a bunch of innocent people, and some of those innocent people turn toward him and they're like, "Oh, thank you so much for saving us." Oh, men channeling, maybe they're not so bad, and it kind of like seeds the after story of like, okay, maybe we can heal this, honestly, sexism of male magic users, and there will be a future where men channeling won't be so scary, and like that is a nice ending. It's just
it is, and
he could have done so much more.
He gives you enough to know, like, okay, he's probably going to be like the head of the men
Of
channelers,
something.
right? He's going to be the head of the men channelers. He's going to raise men up. He's going to do justice by men from what you're given. But he is one of those characters, I feel like, that you got so much early on that there's so much that could happen, that he's one of the few that you really actually I really wanted to see have something happen. I liked the open ending with him. I like that he got this, especially because right before that, you don't know if he's going to make the good choice or not. You don't know if what's happened to him is going to impact him and he's going to be like, no, screw that. Or if he's going to rise to the occasion.
He goes through it too.
Yeah, he goes through quite a bit. So it is cool, but it's still a little bit flat. Whereas like, and this is probably stereotypical, but Lan is my favorite side character because he's him. If you read The Wheel of Time, you know him, you love him. It's almost impossible not to. And his storyline is so freaking good. Lost Kingdom, dead. You're kind of suicidal, but not suicidal based on honor. You're entangled in all these webs. You're getting out of those webs. You're falling in love, but you don't want to be in love. You're one of the best soldiers that there is. People respect you even though you don't want them to. Like, there's so much in his side character, and he doesn't even talk that much. You don't even really get that much with him. And his interactions with Rand are crazy interesting.
Yeah.
And I think that's why he's so powerful. He doesn't even need to talk to be like such a potent figure.
He's a man's man.
That's true.
Like that's why we like him. He's just so manly. He is a good, honorable person who teaches Rand about responsibility and leadership.
Yep.
Like that's why we love him. He's definitely a top contender. But like favorite side character, I think we have to throw Loyal into the discussion.
Oh yeah.
Loyal is so good. He is a fountain of information. So like he serves like the plot purpose of just teaching the characters about the world and societies, and like Robert Jordan can go, look at my cool world building. Thank you, Loyal. Tell them. And he does. But just the Ogier in general are such an interesting race and society. Yeah. Like I love that they're these just like peaceful giants that have like a little bit of elf in them, a little bit of dwarf in them, a little bit of alien from a multi-planar escape, who knows? And they're just like gentle giants. They're builders.
That can rip your head off.
Until you make an Ogier angry. And oh my God, that is like one of my favorite parts is when the Ogier come to the final battle and it's just like, I've got to rip up all these weeds. And I'm just like, yes, and Loyal, release your rage.
Super cool. Because you get all the tree singing and then all of a sudden there's a war chant. And you like, I actually remember reading it. I was like, oh, I got goosebumps a little bit. Like, because like these peaceful giants and they're super passive, and Loyal to me is just Robert Jordan put into a fictional character because he loves to talk and loves to ramble. And then all of a sudden they're going and ripping apart giant goat-headed and eagle-headed Trollocs and like chanting a war chant. It's pretty incredible. But he's also a character that I wanted more of throughout the entire series. I was like, where's Loyal? Where is Loyal? Where is he?
What is he doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got his cute little side story with Sareth, I think her name is. The woman he ends up with, I think is just really good.
I can't remember her name now. The Ogier names are pretty wild, so I have a hard time remembering them.
That's true. Bill,
what
what
about
about you? What's your favorite side character?
Well, I to go with Gaul.
Good choice.
Good pick. Good pick.
I liked Gaul from the beginning, and then with Bane and Chad, that whole arc with with Perrin again, with Perrin being my favorite. I loved the character Gaul because he is the antithesis of what Perrin is almost, but then like they're the same type of person because with the being Aiel, they're the warriors. They want to go out in a blaze of glory, basically. And he wants to do this, but he also stands beside Perrin when he's like, "We can just leave. Like you don't have to do this." In the Battle of Two Rivers, like we can just leave. And he's like, "No, I'm staying." So I don't know. I just enjoyed his character arc throughout the whole series. And then, I loved Talmon's, with Matt's arc. Like
He's
he
awesome.
was just kind of fun with the band of red or the red hand, you know. Then Oliver, there's just so many good side characters that are just really cool. And obviously Tom Maryland is a top contender for best side character, which again the show destroyed Tom Maryland, which is unfortunate.
They ruined it so bad.
It was just that's not a Glee Man what they did with Tom in there. But yeah, I do think I will say though, this kind of going back to your Logain question or your disappointing. I think what happened in the end with Tom Maryland is a little disappointing.
I was going to ask you that because you brought him up. I was going to ask what you thought about his ending.
Yeah, I mean,
out of nowhere too. I'm not going to lie. Which parent
it makes sense, like when you think back on all of it and what Moraine did, but
yeah.
Even the characters in the world are like, what's happening? When did this happen? How did I miss this? Which is exactly how we feel as readers. So it's kind of cool in that way, but it's also kind of weird in that way.
Yeah.
I do have a problem. I'm going to go through a couple quick questions with you guys so we can get into our cover reveal. I do have a problem before we get into the quick questions, and I talked to Bill about this, but I haven't talked to you about it, Michael. Moraine's reintroduction into the world after all this time, all these other side characters have come, and there's almost no interaction. That's my one issue, besides maybe Logain, in book 14, is that Moraine comes back and nobody cares. I mean, Rand cares, but like nobody really interacts with her. Swan doesn't really interact with her. Reading the prequel, I really want her and Cadsuane to have some kind of words. So there's not there is a little bit of interaction, but there's not what you would expect. Lan, I don't even remember if Lan says anything to her besides like one sentence. Nynaeve, they have a little bit of interaction, which is actually a really big turning point in Nynaeve's character and very fascinating after their whole animosity. That was well done. But other than that, I was a little bit perturbed. And maybe it's just because I'm so used to Robert Jordan drawing stuff out. And Sanderson was like, I'm not going to do that. I did want a little bit of the telenovela in there for that part. I wanted at least a little chapter of some hey, what's happening? And then her and Cadsuane butting heads, or her and whoever butting heads, her hearing about Varen. And I know Michael loves Varen. Her hearing about what happened with Varen would be nice. Anything like that.
But that's the thing is how do you sell that on the page? Like, oh, Moraine, let's catch you up on 6 books. That's just not going to be interesting to get a reaction to every single thing. So I understand why they pared that down, but she is impactful. She shows up during the debate over the Dragon's Peace, and it would not have worked if she did not show up. And
that's true.
Pretty much look at Rand and be like, hey, you stop that now. You need to do the thing. You need to do the thing. You're going to do it. That's the thing about Moraine is Moraine was the first person to manipulate Rand, but she also became the first person that understood him, that knew how to push him in a way to get him to do what he needed to do in the hopes that he would be strong enough to survive to save the world. Like that was her goal the whole time. It's just I need to get Rand to the end. Oh, he won't just do what I say because he's from the Two Rivers and he's super stubborn and like everybody from there in Manetherin and all that. Okay, well I guess I got to figure out how to nudge the boulder instead of just making it follow me. And she was the first person to really understand that. So then when she got taken out of the story and then Cadswain got thrown in, Cadswain again just tries to bully Rand. But at this point, Rand is a freaking glass cannon god. And it doesn't go so well for Cadswain. And then it took her coming back for, thankfully, after Rand had gone through like his whole thing and is just much happier as a person. But it took her coming back to really like remind him of like where he came from and everything that it took to get to where he is. So she is impactful. And I agree. I want to know all of her responses to all those things, but there's just no time. There's so much going on.
True. I kind of wish she had a reaction to Varen. I wish her and Swan had a little thing and her and Cadswain butted heads for a minute. That's what I really wish. So going into that, a couple quick questions. Was Varen totally awesome and was her ending perfect? Because I think it was.
Absolutely.
Yes. That's all I'm going to say about that. That's the
Me too.
all I'm going to say.
That's the one? Okay. Then I think we should move on.
That one,
yes.
That's like a quick question. That's why it's a yes or no.
Let's move on. So because I have so many Wheel of Time experts here, I decided to put something together that Tim knows nothing about.
Oh.
Welcome to the Wheel of What?
Oh.
The only Wheel of Time trivia game on the internet. I'm going to ask you geniuses questions about the Wheel of Time that I have found on the internet. And I think they're real questions. I guess we'll find out. I tried to find what I assumed to be hard ones. Some of them I think are pretty easy because I think I do the answer to them. So we'll begin with this one. What's the name of the spring festival celebrated in Two Rivers and across much of the wasteland or the Westlands that marks the end of winter?
Are we buzzing in? Buzz.
No, you all can answer. You all can answer.
Beltane.
Beltane. And the answer is Beltane. You're very, very smart. That's the first easy question. Here's the next one. What's the name of the pure pool of Sadine Garden? Sadine pool. I can't read it. Someone read this. I can't read this fantasy.
What's the
pool in the first book?
Oh,
I know the answer, but I'm going to give someone else a chance.
I don't remember.
It's the Eye of the World.
The Eye of the World is the answer. Yeah, we do need some buzzers. I have a soundboard here, but I don't know what the sounds. So can you guys hear this?
Yes.
I can't hear it, so I don't know what it is.
That was a nice piano. Very soft.
Yeah.
Oh.
It sounded like you had
piano.
Beethoven just
I
hanging
bet I
out.
can turn that down. Or I turn it down right here. I don't know how to turn it down. Oh, this right here.
Oh, now it's got
There we
some
go.
nice trumpet.
Oh. I don't know what's happening anymore. Oh, no, I have too many things going on. Okay, I think everything's off now. Okay. Eye of the World. What's the real name of the Green Man?
Oh, I don't know this
He
one.
had a name?
Yeah,
Yes,
he did. And I don't
don't-
remember. He's actually a super interesting character very early on.
He's just the Green Man to me.
Well,
Yeah,
let's
the
see
Green
what
Man.
the wiki says.
The Green Man. His real name was Shomsta.
Shomeshta.
What a great
No,
name
I
for a
would've-
Green Man.
One thing about the Wheel of Time is there's a bajillion names.
There's
and most
so
of them are
many names.
wild. Yeah, you're not.
What makes it even more difficult is just like so many characters have multiple names, and what name they're called is different throughout the series, multiple times. So many characters do this.
That is true.
Who is the only Trolloc shown speaking in the common tongue on the series? And what's one of his most repeated lines?
I don't know the name, but I know it's a wolf-headed Trolloc.
Yeah, I know which one it is. He does say his name. It's in the very first book, the one that's in their house.
Yeah, the one that
he
breaks in and gets to kill Ran or Tam.
Yeah, he like hides and wait and stuff like that. I can't remember his name.
His name is Narg.
Narg.
And he says,
Ah,
Narg
Narg.
smart. Narg stay. Narg smart.
Oh,
He also
yeah.
says variations of put sword down.
Yep. This happens in like the very first book, and then a Trolloc never speaks again.
Yeah.
Never in all 14 books.
Not like physically, but they hear them talking in the last book because multiple times,
Yeah.
multiple characters are like, "Wait, they talk,"
Yeah.
but they never have a line.
Yeah.
Okay. What title do the Aiel give Ran after he returns from Rudian?
What's the Karkagon?
Yeah.
However you pronounce it.
Is it?
I actually don't know how to.
No,
I thought it was Karen, but I don't know. That's how
Karen, however you pronounce
I
it.
think it's Karen. Yeah. But yeah.
The answer
I think
is Karkarn.
Yeah.
He who comes with the dawn, chief of chiefs.
What's the one with the sea folk? What did they call him again? I don't remember.
God.
That's the other thing.
Man, Rand has so many cool names. I cannot remember that one.
I can't remember. It's been a few years since I've read the series.
I just
What
read it.
animal head shape appears on Max's fox head medallion?
I think the question answers it.
Yeah.
I wonder what it could be. It is, of course, a fox.
Matt also has a lot of names. Matt also has given
Yeah.
a lot of names throughout the series.
Yeah.
My favorite is the Son of Battles.
I do love that one.
Who blows the horn of Valeray for the first time in the series?
I like how it specifies first time. Matt.
Yep. It's definitely Matt.
The answer is Matt.
Actually, the second time was mind blowing to me too. I was not sure what was happening with that. That was pretty
That
crazy.
was cool. That was cool.
And I didn't even think about it, what happened to him. So
Yeah.
What is the old tongue inscription on the shaft of Matt's Ascendary, and what does it mean?
It is very funny to me to listen to all you guys say the words, because it's clear to me that either one, Isaac, you haven't read the series, or two, Tim and Bill, you guys read the books and I did the audiobook. So it's just really great to me to hear all these.
Ascendary.
I don't know how to spell any of them though.
Karen in the audiobook?
It's Karakar, I think. Or something like
Okay.
that.
It's close
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
And what is this in the audiobook? Is it Ashendari?
Ashendari.
Yeah. And
Ascendari.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who's the Ascendari and what they put on the sword?
I don't remember.
The answer
what it
is
says.
I don't remember.
thus is our treaty written. Thus is agreement made. Thought is the arrow of time. Memory never fades. What was asked is given. The price is paid. This is a ridiculously long thing to put on a sword.
Well,
I bet it was short in Valerian.
Yeah. It's a poleaxe. It's like a long staff with a sword on the end.
What is Grendal's original name from the Age of Legends, and what was her profession before she went over to the chateau?
She was a scientist, wasn't she?
She was. She was the one that
Like an
cracked the
inventor.
barrier. She cracked the barrier that brought the Dark One into the world.
Yeah.
And I think her name was Miram.
Oh, that might be right. It's hard with the Forsaken because they have like 10 names.
Maradim.
Carmyle Miradim Nindar. She was noted psychologist, healer of the mind, famous for treating mental illness.
That's wild. I forgot the part of the healer of the mind is wild just because of who she is. But
Is that right? I thought that was one of the. Okay. I might be mixing her up with one of the other Forsaken.
This is what the internet has told me, and the
It's
internet
hard-
has been proven right again and again. So I would not
It
argue.
never lies.
Never. Thank you guys for playing the Wheel of What.
that was pretty awesome.
And
before
we leave,
get into our cover.
what'd you say?
We have more next week,
Yes.
so I guess we should get into our cover.
So we like to review covers here at Pin and Dragon, and we found a cover for you guys to nitpick and talk about. So this
is a movie coming out.
It is. I read this book earlier in the year, and I didn't know a movie was going to happen. But after reading the book, I was thinking this would make a fantastic movie, and it probably will. So this is Whalefall by Daniel Kraus. So what do you guys think of this cover? Now, just to get book review out of the way, book is very good. Read book. Book review done. Now let's talk about the cover.
I like it.
Simple.
Like-
I like it.
Yeah. The typography is really interesting with what they're doing with Whalefall with the different heights of the letters. It makes you a little uneasy because they're all uneven, especially with the H being longer on one side than the other. The color scheme is really good. It's like got this weird metallic oceanic kind of vibe to it. Like the whale looks like it is patinaed, like it's made out of copper. And I like, honestly, it's very intriguing. I have no idea what it's about though, and I think that is a problem.
I think the cover gives away what's about to happen, and that's what like the book is about.
Jonah. It's about Jonah, basically.
This is a perfect cover because the cover itself tells a story, and the story on the cover equals the story in the book to a T. This is exactly what happens. This is about a guy who's eaten by a whale.
Backstory? Like a lot of it's flashback to like what got him to
there are flashbacks, yes, and those flashbacks get mixed in to the mental state of the guy in the whale as he's deteriorating, and things start to blend together. Like he had a bad relationship with his dad, and the whale in a way kind of becomes his dad, and the whale kind of coaches him how to get out and man up and get out of this situation. It's really good. It's a really good read.
Grim Dark Jonah from the Bible, basically.
I mean, I saw the trailer and it looks like
very
a movie
hopeful.
I want to watch, so.
It's a very hopeful story. Like it's an incredibly like horrible situation. If you're afraid of the ocean, this is the perfect book for you to be just afraid and just unnerved. But this is really, really good. I had such a fun time.
In that way, I like it because it is unnerving. Even the title is a little bit unnerving. I actually really like the title a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I do.
Whale fall is an actual term. So when a whale dies, first they go up and they blow and they explode and stuff, but then they go down into the ocean, and that's called a whale fall. And people actually track where whale falls are in the ocean because ecosystems kind of blossom from them because they're so big. Right, and so whenever one happens, they know, okay, send subs down here because we'll see things we haven't seen before because the whale fall is creating a new ecosystem.
It kind of gives me Moby Dick, Jaws, and I don't know, something else kind of vibes all in one. I mean, that's not a Tremors. I don't shy away from this. I hate quotes on covers. It drives me nuts. And I also don't like when I know why they promote awards. I just hate it. So I don't like those, but I love the whale. I like the light with the dude falling, and I love the title. Yeah. I'm sure it gives exactly what it's meant to give. So in that way, I can't really say much. It's like from what I'm assuming the book is, from what you said, it's an easy, 8 or 9 out of 10 because of that. I think it does everything it's meant to do.
I think I would give this, only thing keeping it from being a 10 is I was annoyed with the main character at the beginning of the book. Like the first 10 pages, I thought the kid was whiny. And then he gets eaten by a whale. And I'm like, okay, yeah, here we go. You kind of deserve that a little bit. But then you're on his side, you're rooting for him. And it's really, really fun.
Interesting. I may have to pick this up.
What do you guys think?
It's worthwhile.
You want to give us a number, Michael and Bill?
Sure. Are we going out of 5 or 10?
10. We like to give wiggle room.
Yeah.
I would say it's a solid, like, cover only. This is a solid, like, 8 out of 10. Like, it's well designed. It's interesting. You look at it and you have questions, and the only way to answer them is to pick up the book.
I'll agree. I think the only thing that ruins it for me is that giant sticker. I hate when bookstores put stickers on there because it's just like, one, you can never get them off, but two, they just like ruin the composition of this. Like if you got rid of that sticker, I think that'd be almost a 10 out of 10 cover because it's just cool as hell. But that sticker ruins.
How do you guys feel about quotes on covers? Do you guys not mind them? I hate them, but really?
It depends.
I got one at the top, man. I don't care.
It depends.
No,
it really depends on where it's at too. Like this one's not. This one doesn't like steal my eye away from the cover.
Yeah,
that sticker steals my eye away from the cover. That's fair.
I guess it gives me movie poster vibes. I don't like my books looking like movie posters. I think that's why I think of it like that.
But a book cover is like a movie poster. The point of a movie poster is you look at it, you get excited, you want to check out the movie.
Yep. It tells you what it is, who made it, and what it's about in one graphic.
And that's what book covers should do.
Agreed.
That's fair. I also do like that the title's at the bottom because of falling whales and going to the bottom of the sea. That is one thing I wanted to say that I do actually really enjoy, and that the letters are falling toward the bottom of toward the bottom of the sea as well.
Well, that's also a design choice based on the fact that it's Daniel Kraus. Like, because Daniel Kraus is known, he's very famous. His name will be above the title. If you are a well-known author, your name is usually above the title of the book. If you're not a well-known author, your name doesn't mean anything. So having Michael Vadney at the top, they're going to be like, who the hell is Michael Vadney? Crownfall? Oh, that sounds interesting. Let's check that out. But because it's Daniel Kraus and people hear Daniel Kraus and they'll be like, oh, Daniel Kraus, I'll go read that just because it's Daniel. That's why his name is probably at the top. But I do agree having whale fall at the bottom is pretty sick.
So we all hate the sticker. We can all agree that we hate the sticker.
Yes.
I thought about finding a cover without the sticker, but then I thought, no, I think we should leave the sticker in for the review. Because this is what people are picking up right now. If you go to any bookstore, this is what you're going to find.
Mm-hmm.
For me, this is I think this is an 8 out of 10 cover. What could make it a 10 for me is, I don't know. It's missing a little bit of magic, and I don't think I can just define what that magic is until I see it. But what I love most about this cover is it's visually striking, for one. The color choices are very, very strong, and the cover tells a story, and the cover tells you exactly what the book is about, without any dialogue, any words, anything written.
Crazy.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Pretty good rating. Pretty good rating from us and the guests. I'm gonna let you guys plug, your own wares real quick if you would like to before we say our final speech.
Sounds good.
Final speech.
I guess I'll go. Hey, folks, Michael Vadney, author of Crownfall. You can find it on Amazon or at michaelvadney.com. You can find me on the social medias at Michael_Vadney on all of them, or you can find Author Adjacent on YouTube. New episodes every Friday.
So you're
Bill,
smart.
take it away.
I need to change my socials because I made mine when I was like 12 years ago. I don't put my real name anywhere. But I'm Bill Adams, and I wrote a couple books, but the one I'm talking now is The God's Blood Tragedy, dark epic fantasy that has been called Sanderson fanfic for all you out there, which I take offense because it's Final Fantasy fanfic. Get it right, people. But yeah, now an audiobook just came out.
Isn't it Final Fantasy Sanderson fanfic anyway?
I guess you're right.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, thank you guys for joining us. Can't wait till next week when I have tons more questions that I want to jump into. Thanks, listeners, for joining us for part 1 of the Wheel of Time. The wheel weaves as the wheel wills. Can't wait to. Oh, Mike Cahoon will be back from his journey to. We've Wheel of Timed him. He is sitting out this book. He'll be back next book. And he is basically parent, so it's fine. It makes sense.
So he's been wounded in the Battle of Two Rivers, so we have to.
Yeah, he's got to sit down for a minute.
Yeah, he needs a little bit of time. He's trying to figure out the wolf dream still. So
makes sense.
Thank you, listeners. Go like and subscribe. Thank you, Writers Journey Services. Go and check them out if you want editors that are going to take care of you. Thank you for sponsoring us. We do have a Patreon that we are working on that will be up and coming that we will offer stuff on that we're still discussing. So maybe next week we'll have it figured out and actually have something for you guys. There's also an anthology coming out that I'm assuming Isaac is staring at right now. Oh, he's not.
Bada bing, bada boom. The Kickstarter exclusive. More than 30 short stories from indie authors in fantasy, science fiction, romance, and horror. The Rings of Adventure. We wrote short stories about things and rings and spooky things.
And Michael, our guest, is also one of these stories. So it kind of works out.
Yes, he wrote a very good one.
Thank you.
Yeah, Michael writes good everything. And this goes live September 11th, right? Is that right?
Yes,
first.
very soon.
I thought it was
First.
Well, I knew there was a
What?
one.
Oh, no.
I could be wrong.
Well, it's one of the ones. It's either 1 or 2.
Early September.
Really? Yeah. Well, I need to go draw pictures then because I owe them a piece of artwork. I gotta get some pencils.
You gotta get moving.
I gotta move on that.
Some shorts that we will be putting up throughout the week. we'll be putting up some more images, and next week the dragon will be reborn. Thanks for tuning in to Pen and Dragon everywhere that we are. Thank you, Michael Vadney and Bill Adams, for joining us. Thanks, Isaac, for being here and listening to us jabber about the Wheel of Time. And
Yes, I enjoyed that.